committee. The committee put their heads together and they started their own thing.
Hey y'all, it's Izzy Harrison and you're tapping in with the committee.
What's up guys, this is Azrae Stevens and you're tapping in with the committee.
Big shout out to the committee. Y'all hold it down for us.
Shout out to the committee. Come on, rocking with the committee. The committee. We committee.
Some people ain't gonna like it, and some people will.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the committee post-game show. We've had a stacked day today, so I'm joined by Shawnee and Yana to break it down. Y'all, I hope y'all ready.
Long day.
We've had a day full of games, full of lotteries, full of Aaliyah Boston, you know, on the stage with Kurt Miller looking like making him look incredibly small.
Yes.
Like we've had a lot of stuff going on today. So we'll just start off with what's most recent. Let's dive into UConn bouncing back. They were in desperate need of this win against North Carolina. And when I say desperate, I mean historically desperate. They have not really ever felt this level of desperation before. And I'm not trying to be rude or messy. I'm just saying the stats. I'm saying
it just comes naturally to you, huh?
No, I know I can't help it. But I promise I'm not being messy. It's just what the history says, okay? And they needed it. And they got it. And they got it off the back of Paige Bueckers, who after the Texas game, I was there, boots on the ground, and I posted the clip of Gino saying that she was, quote, lousy, and that she was not good. Basically, that was the gist of it, was that she was not good, and he didn't know if it was rust or whatever. Whatever it was, it went away today because she hooped today on both sides of the ball. We got two-way Paige tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, hold on.
I'm sorry. I'd have to fight Luigi. Like, don't call me lousy in front of the. No,
that's his way. That's that mind game that Gino likes to play, and
I'm gonna have to play one too. I'm gonna swing on you. Don't do that.
That's I think we've talked about like Paige being the last type of UConn player left from the past, and those are those mind games that he used to play with them that kind of just like got them going, and it worked. Obviously it worked for her. Like, she was a monster offensively, defensively. She was help side blocks, just general blocks, steals, taking charges. But yeah, Paige was phenomenal on both sides of the ball today.
Hey, you mentioned help side blocks. That's almost the brand. So, you know, I had to come with the clip, as I always do. Because look at this block. Hold on, Paige.
Oh.
What the help side block? Run it back. Run it back. Ugh. Damn.
Wait, one more time.
Hey, man.
I don't know if you have the whole clip, but I feel like that's also the possession where it shows how Paige is amazing and her team just casually lets her down every once in a while. Because after that monster block, everyone watched, and I think it was Deja Kelly who just grabbed it and went straight back up with it, and it was a bucket.
Yeah, coincidentally, my phone stopped recording after the block, and before that happened, just coincidentally. That is what happened.
Hey, one thing, like, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about UConn the same way we're talking about South Carolina. Like, they needed this game. They needed to see what happens when they get hit in the mouth and they can bounce back and blah, blah, blah. Like, oof, God, look at where UConn is right now. But
they needed this, like, for March Madness purposes at this point, right? Like,
we're talking about hosting at this point.
Yeah, at this point, they're, to me, on the bubble of hosting and not hosting. And I know the March Madness committee is probably like praying that UConn wins at least versus Louisville and one of the Notre Dame and South Carolina games. So when they put them as hosts, they're not going to get like beat up about it. But like they need the wins. They really do. Yeah.
And they're right there technically right now when it comes to the AP ranking, sitting on the outside looking in of hosting right now, which is feel like seeing 17 by UConn makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like factually correct, but that's where they're at so far this season. And this win was huge for them. It was like I said, I mean, this was like finally, no, I don't want to say finally, because Paige had a good start to the season, but compared to that Texas game, this is what they wanted to see. And I don't even know if it was like incredibly different when it comes to how UConn was operating. I don't think there was any like start changes.
We're saying like they're too reliant on Paige, and the difference here was Paige was playing better on both sides of the ball. So it's like we're still relying on Paige, but thanks for stepping up for us. That's why don't call me lousy. Like you still go get on your clipboard, get on your Zoom, and figure it out.
Yeah, and it was also even in the fourth quarter, I forget the exact time frame of it, but there was a drought scoring wise for UConn there in the fourth quarter. It was like, is UNC gonna get anything going? Because now is the time. Like if you're gonna do it now. Like you're running out, clock is ticking, they're not scoring. And I felt like it was because personally that UConn was slowing down. They were trying to drain the clock and everything. Whereas in previously in the game, whether it was off turnovers or just picking up the pace generally, the pace was what was helping them. And
they were playing not to lose essentially in that fourth quarter.
They completely stopped scoring because of it. And I think that pace is what is going to help them get. I think that's what worked today. And I think that's what then when they stopped doing it. And I think I remember talking to Greer at the Texas game with her at halftime. And she was like, I want to see pace. And it wasn't until they brought the freshmen in the fourth quarter that pace kind of started happening. So if there was a change in this game, I think it was that pace. And we saw what happens when they went away from it in that fourth quarter where it was like 6 minutes, maybe somewhere.
Because it was like those last 2 minutes when UNC started trying to make that run and they cut it to single digits. That's when UConn kind of picked it up and started looking to score more. And then like you said, good things happen when you play to win instead of playing not to lose. So.
Yeah, and I think that's what a big part of it kind of came down to today. But ultimately, I thought Aaliyah Edwards was solid. I thought several their role players were also solid. But this was Paige. This was we're like you said, Shawnee. The reliance just worked today. I don't think there was any stark shift away from relying on Paige Beckers, and she's your star player. So you're going to do that. She was just hooping. I think it was 11 for 14 tonight. And 4 blocks. When you talk about literally doing it all around, that was Paige tonight, and that's not something. When it comes to two-way, that's not what she's known for. But she was locked in across the board tonight. So
turnovers, everything.
Yes.
But I think that's one thing that I know UConn fans haven't had to rely on in prior seasons, just because their offense has always been clicking. Defense, the games versus I guess top matchups that they've won, which is this game and the Maryland game. At the time, defense. They defended well. They forced a ton of turnovers, and they got quick buckets off their turnovers. And I know the women's college basketball world does not like to pay attention to the defensive side of the ball. But if UConn is going to do anything this season, it's going to have to rely on their defense, especially until they get their offense rolling. So they're going to have to defend. Yeah. And they did that today.
And on the flip side, I do want to shout out on North Carolina side because Maria Gachting, she is hooping. She's not gonna be the craziest, putting up 20 points and everything. But the past since she was really impactful in the South Carolina game, which is honestly kind of was okay, let me make sure she's on my radar. And again, I feel like she had another really impactful game. I think she did lead the team in scoring tonight. She had 14. Every starter was in double figures, right around the 10 range. She led with 14, 13 rebounds. Not like I said, not the quintessential star player that you think of or anything, but she has consistently been really impactful for this North Carolina team. So I wanted to give her a shout out because, like I said, I knew about her, but really the South Carolina game put me on the radar, for her. And then it was another big game tonight where she showed up and put her fingerprints.
I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game.
That's basically what it was. But no, she's legit. She is, like I said, probably not the quintessential star player that you think of when it comes to having impact on the game. But that's the third option ish that is going to get down and dirty. And you need those. Yeah, you need them. Do we have any final thoughts on that? I guess I honestly, I feel like that game was, I don't want to say straightforward, but it was Paige and it was her hooping. It was Paige. It was that's about it for me. Speaking of teams that were hooping, who had players that were hooping, let's get into UCLA, Florida State. Lauren Betts, y'all.
Number one transfer.
Yeah, it's, I mean, man, so one of the biggest things, and they touched on this several times on the broadcast, and we talk so much. I feel like every playback that we did during the W season, there was a post entry pass where you're like, "What are you doing?" You know, like whether it was on the guard or the whatever. Mostly it was mostly on the guards, but like there was always one, right? And I think something that's so underrated about Betts, and it was touched on the broadcast today, the way that she communicates on the court. And I remember I had a tweet about it during the AmeriCup play of like her talking about, okay, I'm coming over for the screen and like waiting, making sure that the guard knows to wait and not get the offensive foul and things like that. And today she did another really good job of like knowing when she's available and making that known to her guards where her hand is, making sure that no one, and like just having that communication level on top of like the obvious size and skill that she has makes her so deadly because, and obviously they have really good guards in Kiki Rice and Charisma Osborne that can make those passes. But I feel like it's such an underrated skill of hers that allows her to be successful. But this UCLA team across the board is.
It also kind of makes Donna Imus look kind of crazy because how she was complaining about post entry passes, and then you're like, we haven't seen great ones, but like it that might be it. It's a communication thing. So hopefully she starts a trend of like post players
making good passes
or demanding the ball when they are open and like making it a undeniable fact that I am open. So give me the ball.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, they're across the board, like they're just such a complete team. Like I think it was Lowe that initially tweeted out like the Spider-Man meme between South Carolina and UCLA. And like they're the top two teams. Like I don't even like it doesn't like it's those two. Like like they're in a tier of their own right now.
I would give UCLA at this moment the edge.
I would too.
Because of their veteran like leadership at the guard spot. I think we kind of saw we saw today in the South Carolina game, which we'll get to. But I just think that having Kiki and Charisma, who've kind of gone through those things together, like it's not just, veterans that came from another team and they have to help this team. These two players kind of went through the grind together last season, and we saw them building that camaraderie last season with one another. And then now you add a piece like Lauren Betts in the paint, and it opens things up completely for their team, like so much, because you have to put so much attention on Betts in the paint because she's so efficient. She's really she bought when she wants the ball, her body's like in the person, they're on her back. She's not letting them get around her. And, when she gets it, she's smooth with it. She has like a really nice touch around the rim. So you have to pick your poison. Do I guard Betts or do I stay out and guard Osborne, who's a proven shooter, and Kiki Rice, who's now developed the 3-point shot,
which is huge. Which is huge for this team.
This offseason, and came back she was always a scorer, but she was more of a got to get to the rim type of vibe. But now it's like I'm comfortable sitting out here and shooting the three, and so UCLA is tough, man. That's a tough team.
And that's where it's like it's hard to pinpoint a weakness for them, like for South Carolina, it's like, okay, they're young, like that's like the weakness that they have is like how are they going to react, which seemingly so far they've all like that hasn't really been a weakness yet, but that was like the one you would kind of pinpoint and be like, this UCLA, it's like they're so complete that they have the guard play, they have the size down low, they have the skill down low in Betts. It's hard to kind of pinpoint that weakness for them right now. And
if I had to think of a weakness for them, and this is like a stretch, it would literally be Lauren Betts not being on the floor. When she's not on the floor, it becomes more like guard focused, and I think you can kind of like cheat in helping the guards, and you can defend one-on-one in the paint a little bit more when Betts isn't in the game, and so it makes things a little bit easier for the post players. But I still think like her backup, they come in and they give solid minutes, so it's not like glaringly bad,
right? And one thing that I thought was interesting was because I tweeted out today was like, my advice for guarding Lauren Betts is good luck. And somebody was like, the only thing you can do is foul her out, basically. It's like getting her into foul trouble. She doesn't get into foul trouble. She hasn't, like, before this game, she hasn't had a game with 2 fouls this entire season. So, like, she's not going to take herself out of the game. Like, obviously, like, she'll have her minutes on the bench, but she doesn't take herself out. So you have someone that's that talented, that smart, that the communication, the skill. I mean, complete package across
I
the board.
will say I'm excited to see her go against like true bigs that can dominate, right? Like I think so far this season they haven't really played a team that has like a big. They played UConn and Aaliyah Edwards. She's a power forward. She's a little overmatched in the paint when it comes to true centers. But like Cameron Brink, that's coming up. I think Rhea Marshall, like that's gonna be a tough one. Pili, it's on like
Pili's gonna be an interesting
Pac-12.
one.
The Pac-12 got some solid bigs that she's gonna have to go against, and so I'm excited to see what she does versus them.
Yeah, no, we're gonna find out here soon. Like like she seems elite across like I don't think that's in question. We'll just see where like when she does go against those people, because frankly Florida State doesn't really have like that big that can really match up with her. But what they do have is Tanaya Latson. And Yana, if you want listen, if you want this is your daughter, right?
She needs some help. Like, okay, so their team has like 2 guards that are going to be consistent and phenomenal. Tanaya, obviously, and I do not know how to pronounce that last girl's name, but her name's Sarah. I don't know.
Oh, Bajetti.
Yes, those 2 are like consistent, and they're always going to do what they need to do. It's the others that like have to step up. I think college basketball is just too like everyone's so balanced now. And you can't just walk into a game with like this one star and dominate. Like you have to have balance, and everybody has to show up in some way, shape, or form. And so, I mean, Latson did what she could. She kept them in the game in a way. Like they started off really bad. But she was like, she did what she could do, especially like trying to get into the paint. She had some really tough looks in the paint. She was able to navigate. And with Betts in there blocking like every shot, it felt like, it was a tough one, but she looked good.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned that start. They started 1 for 15
it was
from the field. Bad. Really
and honestly,
bad.
That's fire alarm.
That's really bad. Yeah.
And shout out to UCLA for fouling them and helping them get some points.
No, literally. I think they're like 7 of 9 from the free throw line in that span.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
And that's what's kind of crazy is that, like, obviously they lose by 17. That doesn't look good on paper. But genuinely, after that first quarter, like they were solid. And like UCLA is a better team. No doubt about it. Like UCLA should have won this game. Like I think they'd win it again if they played again, But Florida State did not play bad outside of that start. That start was just so atrocious that they couldn't fully ever climb out of that. They were kind of just hovering around that kind of 10-point area before like the end of the game where UCLA kind of extended it some. But Florida State did not play bad. Like I don't feel like they did. They had the mismatches that we knew on paper coming into it that they were going to have with Betts. But when it comes to the guards and doing what Florida State does, after that first quarter, they did their thing. So I think
they shot themselves in the foot a little bit, because I feel like you kind of got to pick your poison with UCLA, especially if you're undermatched in the post position. It's like, do you double down and you help on Betts, or do you just live with what you get in the paint? Let your person go one-on-one, and hopefully, Betts misses a couple here or there, something like that, or you can stop them from passing the ball in. But you got to defend the 3, right? Like you can't let them get their rocks off from the 3-point line and dominate in the paint. Like there were so many times where UCLA had wide open 3s, and I was just like, what are you doing? Like y'all gotta pick one. Either surrender the 3 and stop Betts from scoring and hope that UCLA kind of misses a few, or defend the 3 and make it tough to get those post entry passes into Betts and make things a little tough. But you can't give up both.
Right. No, I completely agree. I think if someone didn't watch the game and they look at the box score, I think they're gonna think that Florida State got cooked way more than in reality they actually did. And like it wasn't like on the court watching the game as close of a game as it was if you're just looking at the score. But I mean, UCLA looks fantastic. Like it's very clearly
that's a Final Four team.
Absolutely.
If they do what they need to do, I can't imagine someone knocking them out before the Final Four. If they come to every game like locked in and stick to the game plan, like Corey Close is a great coach. Even when they were like undermanned, I felt like she always had her teams prepared. Sometimes it really just simply came down to they were too small. And so they lost those games versus teams that had like bigs. But they got that now. So like,
yeah, there's no excuse at this point. Like they are arguably like, I mean, I think LSU is still the most talented team across the board, like on paper, talent wise in the nation. But UCLA is probably number 2.
Yeah,
like just across the board, like just complete talent wise. And
I
think
put them over. I put them over LSU. LSU. Like I think
I don't hate that.
When you talk about like what a full team needs, LSU has they have 2 really good power forwards, and which is fine. But one of your power forwards can't really take a step out and shoot. So essentially, she's going to have to get into the paint and score.
Right.
And she's going to have to do that versus Lauren Betts.
Yeah. And
I think LSU got the bigger names. They do have the bigger names on that roster. But I would take Kiki Rice over Haley Van Lith. I would take Osborne over Michaela at this point in their career, just because Osborne has the veteran leadership and she understands the game more than Michaela does. And Michaela's great, but I just think like a 5-year vet versus a rookie, that matchup's going to be,
right.
So
no, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Like I said, but regardless, they're either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I think that the UCLA pieces probably fit better together, or I think that they fit better together. So
absolutely,
there's no reason on paper that they should not be a Final Four team at this moment right now. I think all signs point to that being like it would be a disappointment if they don't reach the Final Four at this
it would
moment
definitely
right now.
be a disappointment if they didn't get there.
Yeah,
and I want to say like it hasn't really been mentioned, but like Corey Close is her.
Yeah,
we had a prompt week on the committeesportsgroup.com. You can go read it.
Wink, wink.
And we were talking about like coaches that are flying under the radar. Like she got hit with the injury bug the last couple seasons, so she hasn't really been able to do what she wanted to do with those teams. But like she's still been getting the most out of these rosters the last couple of years. So now it's like you have the pieces you want, you have everyone healthy. So this is, to me, like this team reaching the potential that they've always had. It's just they couldn't stay healthy. So I'm really happy for her. And like y'all said, this should be a Final Four because I trust Corey Close. Like she's getting it done the last couple years just off $1 and a dream.
No, literally, I completely. And now she's rich. So,
yeah, exactly.
And now she's rich. So I absolutely agree. And I think one other team right now that looks like they should be a Final Four team, South Carolina.
Shut up.
After that game, you think?
No, that game was like a number 12 team in the nation. Like, watch your mouth.
South Carolina.
Here we go.
This was the marquee game of the match, like of the day. I obviously you guys are both, South Carolina faithful, so I will give you your time to sound off on South Carolina. But before we get to that, my first note on my notes over here is just Alyssa Pili.
Yeah.
Friend of the committee, who is not 6'2",
We'll get to that.
Going into that game, man, I knew she was going to be a problem. Like, she's a matchup nightmare for a team that their best offense is when a 6'7" player is on the floor. And like, and I'm honestly looking forward to Utah and UCLA because I can honestly see UCLA running into the same problem because their best offense is when Betts is on the floor. But asking a 6'7" player to go out on the perimeter and defend, and then like you got her, like she's a big body post player. She gets to the rim. She has a move, a counter move, another move in case you get the counter move. Yes. Like she has so many moves, and you're asking a 6'7" player to guard that. Brittany Griner has been in the W for years, and she still does not look comfortable defending on the perimeter. No, and that's no shade. Like,
Brittany Griner watches somewhere like, what you say me for? Like,
post players do not go on the perimeter and just defend.
no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
And Pili's like that matchup nightmare because it's like, and Utah has so many other guards on their team. They're essentially playing small ball. And so even if you want to put your small forward or your power forward on Pili because they can maybe move their feet a little quicker, where do you put your 6'7" post player?
Yep.
Like
on the bench is what you put on the bench.
Who are they gonna guard? So
and Pili's so seamless with it. From perimeter to post play, there's no pause in it. There's no like, oh, maybe I should do this. Like you said, whatever counter you have for her first move, she's already got 3 counters for it.
Yes.
So like it's insane.
It reminded me, in case you haven't watched the interview we did with Alyssa Pili, it's available on our YouTube channel.
You can go check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Learn some things because we kind of knew some things, but like y'all saying that and then me watching the game today, it was like you can tell she played with her dad a lot because she mentioned that like he's only 5'7" and he was out there cooking her and her brother, and it's like when you're shorter. Yeah, like when you're a shorter player, you got to be crafty. You got to figure out ways to get your defender off, and you got to do a whole bunch of other things. So it's like she's taking that because she is an undersized center, regardless of what the media guide says. So she's going to have to use that to her advantage. I didn't know about that 3-ball. That I want to apologize, Miss Pili.
Really? You didn't know about the 3-ball? The 3-ball's been there.
This season, she's shooting, I want to say, like, it's above 50% from 3. Even before this game,
hold on.
Before this game, she was shooting above 50% from 3, and she's shooting, like, 70% from the field.
She is shooting 56.7% from 3 this season. I don't know the volume per game.
That. Yeah. And because it looks good. The form looks good. Like, she don't be hesitating. Like, she's got good lift on it.
It's not just, like, toe on the 3-point line.
No.
It's like, she be, like, a foot behind the 3-point line. And she like, you not going to defend me? Bet.
Yeah.
And
she's taking about 3-pointers a game. This game, she was letting it fly, though. Which made total sense. Because when you have Cardoso on you, you're operating at the perimeter. Whenever they switch somebody else on you, she immediately goes to the post and is so good at positioning. And obviously, I thought that the guards also did a good job getting her the ball in the right spots, like generally throughout this game.
Which is like all spots?
Yeah, which it literally doesn't matter. And what's also crazy, and like I guess more generally about Pili, this still wasn't everything she has in her bag. Like, we didn't see any playmaking today, which she's a really, really good passer. Like, she was everything for this team today. I think they in the second quarter, they went on a 6-minute scoring drought whenever she had to go out. Like, that's when they missed Neepkins, and that's where they lost this game.
And then when they finally like scored, they were like, "This is the first person that made a field goal this entire quarter."
Outside of Pili
on the bench for like 4 minutes at that time.
Like,
she's so good, man. She is so good, and she was like, I knew that Camilla was going to struggle in this one defensively, at least. Like, I knew that it was going to be tough on her. Like I said, 6'7" post player, it's tough. Like, I don't think any 6'7" post player is going to go out and defend Pili. Like, no,
definitely not. And it's going to be so interesting, like in the long game, seeing where she finds herself in the W, because she can do so much. Like, if I'm a team and like she's available, like obviously like at a right spot, like I'm just drafting her and I'll figure it out later because she can do everything. Like, there's like you can find the role for her on your team. Like, it's going to be really interesting seeing how because I'm not worried. Like, obviously you have the size component, but the physicality in the W, I'm not worried about that with her.
I'm more concerned about her defense. Like, I think today she got away with whenever Ashlyn was in, she kind of got away with just sandwiching Camilla. They were kind of forcing Ashlyn to do something with the ball. But you know, whenever Chloe was in, Chloe got by her pretty quickly or made like a really nice move on her here and there. She did block Chloe once, but you know, when she had to like step out and defend, Chloe was able to kind of like make a quick move on her. And so I am a little concerned about her defensive side of the ball. I think she's going to probably be a 3 or a 4 in the W, but she doesn't want to be a 4. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, defensively wise, like, I don't know if the 4 is the best spot for her. So then you put her at the 3, but the 3, you got
the 3 concerns me more than the 4. Because I get what you're saying,
Exactly.
but
I'd rather her
that's
defending
like
in the
a
post,
like
like depending on what
she's in no
force.
man's land and gonna have to.
So now you put her in the 4, but you know who's at the 4.
Oh, we know who's at the 4. We know who's at the 4 in W.
So
but
Well, okay, because
if you play Vegas though, you're like, all right. maybe
well,
I
you
can
can't
go
compare
Kia.
everybody to Vegas. Damn.
No, but
I'm saying,
Asia.
you gotta find a way to
Yes.
hide her. If I'm playing Vegas, I'll put her on Kia, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll put you on Kia because I know Kia's not looking to shoot.
exactly because like they
But every
Vegas
team
has
don't have
Asia
that.
playing the 5,
Yeah.
and then like you play like Connecticut. I trust her against Alyssa Thomas.
We'll fight them fighting. It'll be like
I need the AT and Pili matchup. Hold on.
She's gonna put a hole
That's
in
not the dream.
She's gonna put a hole in hers. They gonna walk out.
I would like to see it.
Listen, I'll pay my hard-earned money for that one. That's
But
pay
it's
per
like,
view.
I get what you're saying. The bigs are mobile in the W, so that would be an issue. But it's just like, do they usually have 2 big mobile bigs, or is it just 1 big mobile big? So now you
It
can
depends
hide
on the
on
team.
Yeah, but on average, like I know Dallas is obviously going to be a problem, but that Dallas is a problem for everyone.
Yeah.
But most teams don't have like that 1-2 punch up in the front court. So I mean, Vegas, yeah, once Candace gets back, New York, yeah, if you have like Stewie at the 4 and then JJ at the 5, but
if JJ comes back,
That's
neither here nor there.
we ain't even make it to the W mess yet. Hold on, y'all. We ain't even there. Yeah,
so
that's
I
next.
just
That's next.
feel like the way,
But I
the
think there's a
going-
place for her in the W. There's
absolutely.
no way you
Absolutely.
don't.
I don't know what it
try
is.
to make
I
a
really
place
don't.
for her in the
but
W.
There's something.
Yeah.
There's absolutely something that I have no idea where.
You can
or
find
what.
a place for AT to figure it all out with no shoulders. I think you could find somewhere.
Her on Connecticut would be kind of fun.
Stop it. That's
Her
no.
on
I
Connecticut
will
would be
write
kinda
my
fun.
That's where I think I want her to go. I said that
Her on
earlier,
Connecticut
but
would be
I
fun.
think her in Connecticut could be really like that. Could probably.
I'm
work.
intrigued. I'm intrigued. 'Cause
Somebody will get sacrificed.
They draft at 10 in the first round.
AT and Pili.
You get ran over. You get ran over. Hey,
man, get your weight up. Ugh.
The Smash Sisters.
That's the big body son.
Literally.
Oh,
You've heard of the
no,
Splash Sisters? We got the Smash Sisters.
Not the Smash Sisters. Hold on.
Look, Alyssa, come back on the show. We'll discuss the merch.
Listen,
we'll get
we
it
got
going.
the branding.
Figure it out.
Well, and whatever height you want to be listed at, we'll make sure that that's what we push.
Yo, because Rebecca's like, I don't know if she's 6'2", and I'm like, Rebecca, go stand next to her. Like, stop playing with me.
She said, and the quote was the one that got me because she said it several times. It was something along the lines of, "She's listed at 6'2", but has a unique center of gravity." What does that mean? What are you saying?
It sounds like how you're basically just saying in a nice way she's thick. Because that's what they say about James Harden and how he's the greatest. You know, he's a really good post defender because he has like a strong base and a good center of gravity and all of that. So that's what they're saying.
Okay, because that one was like, I was like, what do you, you know? But yes, she. If you go and watch our interview, you can find out how tall she actually is. Wink, wink. But let's kind of dive back into more of the game in general. There was one other point that I kind of wanted to hit with Utah before, and like I said, I mean we'll hit South Carolina because I know y'all will have your thoughts. I thought they made a huge point of this between with Utah's offensive philosophy: layups and threes, layups and threes, layups and threes. And I thought there were several times throughout this game that they just like mid shot would just like 360 and pass it. Because they weren't allowed to take a layup or like the shot that
I don't like that.
It's weird. I'm cool if those are the shots you are aiming for and like emphasize. Cool. I like that's modern basketball. But the way that they do it, where it's like you literally will like not play again ever if you take a mid range shot. I feel like lost them like 6 to 8 points throughout this game, and that's about how much they lost by.
Because their guards were like they shoot a 3 ball so well, right? And so South Carolina's goal was to run them off the 3-point line. And they did a good job of getting past a lot of South Carolina guards today, where it was kind of like they were met in the paint by Camilla or Ashlyn, and it's like you're already past the guard. If you allowed mid-range shots, that shot would have been there because you're past the guard. The post player is worried about Pili at the moment, and so they have to like come up and help. And if you at least stop and fake like you're going up for the mid-range, I can dish it down to Pili now because you're probably going to come at me. Yep. But because no one's expecting you to even shoot the mid-range, we're not even paying attention to that because that's nothing you're doing. And why is this lady trying to kill the mid-range? Like,
did y'all hear the thing that Holly was talking about with the horns, the bells, and all that?
And I was like, I mean, I get that because we used to, like, back in the day, you had set spots where you were allowed to shoot from, and you knew, like, red light, green light, don't do that.
Right.
But, like, I don't like playing the game in that manner where it's just layups and threes and free throws because
justice for the mid-range.
Yeah, let's bring it back. Sorry, I got a little distracted because Pow Pow retweeted our article once again on the committee sports group.
Hey,
Pow Pow.
We're gonna talk. You know what? Let's talk about Pow Pow.
Let's talk about Pow Pow.
Let's go because every time that South Carolina needs Pow Pow, the guns are
up.
Bang, 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 pow, pow.
And I'm going to say, because I'm never going to stop bringing this up. People had doubts about whether Dawn Staley could bring the potential out of Pow Pow. Like, she had reached her ceiling. And, like, that was one of the things I remember in Oregon. Like, why is my child not shooting the ball in the clutch? Like, why is she, like, hiding on offense? Like, why are they not letting her loose? Let her cook. And now you see it every time we need a big bucket, every time we need a steadying presence and a force, it's either Breezy Hall or it's Pow Pow with a big shot. So I'm so proud to see that leap. And I want y'all to really just be thinking before you say things and make these opinions. Like, pay attention. Yes. You told me she peaked in Oregon. They just lost a who now?
Stop.
They lost like what, Pacific or somebody?
It was a smaller. I forget which team.
Yeah, we don't even remember.
Portland, maybe.
Yeah,
Portland, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, the idea that Pow Pow, an already like solid accomplished guard, was going to go to.
Thank you, Joe. Sorry.
There you go. Was going to go to Dawn Staley, a Hall of Fame point guard, and not improve in some type of way or not be able to figure out.
Yeah.
Come on now. Let's like it doesn't mean like I don't even need to be like some crazy basketball mind to think good point guard going to Hall of Fame point guard will make good point guard better. Like
simple math, quick math.
This doesn't have to be. It's not rocket science, y'all. I'm a point guard going to Dawn Staley.
I will say I was very, very like get Pow Pow out of here right now because like throughout the game, she was like she just wasn't. We didn't give. She was locked in for most of the game. Like she was getting cooked on defense. She wasn't looking to take shots on offense. Like there were a couple of times but there were like moments where she was like she had it, but she wasn't really being aggressive. And I think Pow Pow like she becomes aggressive in the fourth quarter when they need her to. And in my head, I'm like, do that the entire game. Like don't wait until the fourth quarter.
It's not prime time.
I don't care. Because at this point the offense is struggling. Like somebody got to get off. Camilla's on the bench, and that's where our points were coming from, and we're not scoring, and you getting scored on. Like I was getting really annoyed because Malaysia, on the other hand, she was aggressive. Like she made a couple of turnovers here and there, because sometimes she get a little too flashy, but Malaysia was at least aggressive, and that's what we needed because Raven was also being tentative during the game. So it's like Raven's being tentative, Pow Pow's being tentative, and Breezy's being tentative, and Camilla's out the game. So what the fuck are we gonna do?
What the hell we gonna do now?
And Chloe's like, I got it. And so Chloe's going and falling on the ground. Like it was just like somebody.
There were some question marks at times throughout the game. You did mention some of the depth. That's the point that I wanted to hit on because the refs were wilding this entire game.
Oh my gosh, it was
like
wild.
There were some bad calls. There
were several bad calls.
South Carolina got the worst calls. There were some bad calls on both sides. South Carolina got some weird ones, like some really really weird ones. But I think the biggest, what won this game And what came into this game on paper as South Carolina's biggest advantage was the depth that they had, and especially with Utah's injuries now with Neepkins out. I think they had one other starter out, if I'm not mistaken. Like they didn't have that. And South Carolina's bench outscored Utah's bench 26-2 this game. And that's
the part that would
huge.
All right, man, give somebody else to do it, because it's like, all right, Pow might not be off to the start that you want, but like then the second unit comes in, and now you got Malaysia full Wiley. Like, bro, come on. Why do you have all of these people?
And
Why
she
are you
comes
not
in and they
this?
speed the game up. Like when you
Yeah.
bring her
yeah.
in, and you thought the game was fast, but now it becomes like super fast. So
and now you might get on the highlight reel, and it's just like, oh my gosh, bro, we kind of held the first unit. We kept them contained. We did what we needed to do, and then you bring in Ashlyn Watkins. Like, I'm reporting you to the FBI. There needs to be an why are you allowed to do this? Why am I here being subjected to this? Absolutely not.
Right.
But shout out to Chloe. I want to give Chloe some love. I think when Chloe was named like a starter for South Carolina, a lot of fans questioned why. Like everyone was kind of like, Ashlyn, she's right there. And Ashlyn is amazing. I think Ashlyn is the best spark next to Malaysia when coming off the bench. But Chloe's like turned it on. Like she's been aggressively rebounding the ball. She's been really like offensive, hunting for shots, shooting the mid-range, which is opening up the paint for Camilla, because now you can't, like when Chloe's in, Camilla probably has more room to work than Boston ever had at South Carolina, because she's actually shooting the ball at the 4.
Yeah.
And that's something that South Carolina hasn't had really since Kiki. So, like I love Chloe. I love what she's doing. Ashlyn, Malaysia, when they come off the bench, it's a fun time. Fagan is starting to get in it. I think Fagan played really good minutes today. I know Dawn was saying that her defense is usually what keeps her out the game. Her defense today, phenomenal. I thought she did a great job. Who else? Sakima came in, gave great minutes, got like a really good rebound and put back. Yeah, they're growing.
Yeah.
I like tweeted this earlier, and I was just like, this game is just a reminder that this team is young. Like it's a young team. They're like, they do have like some older players like Pow and Camilla, but together they're still young. A bunch of players that played backup last year to the Fab Five that, South Carolina had. And they're going to have their ups and downs. They're going to have their tough moments. But if they can learn through them, then they get better.
And that's all we keep asking. And they keep, like, this is a Final Four team. Utah is. So it's like to be able to handle what they're bringing. Like, I know, we're saying like they didn't do this and they didn't do that, but it's like they didn't do this against a Final Four team. So I'm okay with everything. I'm loving how they battle back. Like Chloe just got to 110 pounds. So it's like, and she down there banging. She down there trying to rebound. She in the paint. She ain't scared of the contact. Like, I'm really proud of her development and just how aggressive she's been, because that's someone that's a little out of position, because I like, she's built like a 3. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, she keeps,
she bangs like a 4.
Exactly. So they're doing everything that you could ask for at this point. Not really loud.
Now we're going to take for real.
Hey, I don't know
But I see someone in the comments. Someone in the comments said they wanted Camilla to be a little tougher. I disagree in this game. I think in previous games we could all say that Camilla probably can play tougher for sure. But in this game in particular, I feel like if you go and watch the first few minutes, Camilla was like trying her hardest to post up, right? And Utah had this one player that just kept flopping the entire game. And Camilla got hit with so many charges when she was aggressive that I think it made her less aggressive. Like, it was just like, if I try to post up, honestly, it gave me PTSD. It reminded me of the Iowa game when Boston kind of like dribbled and the girl just flopped and they called Boston with her second foul. That's what it reminded me of.
I don't think she was flopping. I just think she was undersized, and they kept awarding her for being that because like there was contact, but it wasn't like oh, Camilla's coming down, swinging elbows or lowering shoulders or anything. It was just like she's trying to post up, she's fighting her, and homegirl is several inches and a couple pounds short or less than her. So she's gonna move and it's gonna, look a little crazy. But like I don't think she was intentionally flopping. I just think
she was once she realized they were calling it. Like, like in the beginning, she may have fell, but towards the end, it was kind of just like I'm gonna just fall. Like now, I'm gonna just fall because you go call it regardless. And I do wish refs would ref bigger players better.
That's what I was thinking. The problem is you don't really know you don't know how physics is supposed to look. Like that ain't her fault.
Like she didn't she's not pushing her. Like if I back you down. That's a simple post play. Like me getting post position and backing you down, that's nothing. Like if I turn around and like elbow you or something, then sure. But me just simply backing you down and you falling, that has nothing to do with me. That just means I'm stronger. And it is what it is.
And it got interesting because like there was that play where Chloe, in my opinion, kind of bulldozed her, and Johnson was called for the foul, and I was like, okay, because that to me was actually the offense.
That's that privilege, man.
So. Hey, look, you're good, man.
Hey,
hello,
welcome back.
Wow. Am I here?
Wow.
Welcome back.
What happened, Tyler?
Oklahoma. Oh my goodness.
He said his Wi-Fi crashed, y'all. So don't ever let him make another. Don't ever come for me or my Android again when you're literally in no man's land.
Oh,
Dorothy.
I just sprinted across the house to the router and everything. Hold on. Where were we?
We're talking.
We pretty much wrapped it up, I think.
Okay, well, how about let's move on to the WNBA draft lottery then. If we are we all hearts and minds clear? Is that?
South Carolina should still be 12. Leave us alone. Mind your business.
Don't do that. Now,
I agree.
Now I'm gonna leave y'all at 1 over UCLA just cause.
I agree. I wouldn't be shocked though if in these rankings UCLA start getting in the AP rankings they start getting first place votes. I wouldn't be shocked.
No, I wouldn't be upset either. And I
honestly might
decide. I understand it and I am okay with it.
Same.
Jokes aside.
Same.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was one point that I guess to make real quick and then we'll finish up. I just think similar to when we came on here after the North Carolina game with South Carolina, I was super impressed where it's like, yes, it wasn't their best performance, but they took a punch and survived. That's how I felt the North Carolina game. And that made me feel better about them as a team. This game is kind of in that same vein for me where they took the best game from one of the best players in the nation. And obviously Utah was just Pili. But they had no answer for her and they survived, you know what I mean? And with the way that the turnovers today were a huge problem and everything. And
3 games in a row, it feels like.
Yes. And that's something that they absolutely need to clean up no doubt about that.
I think it's impressive though, that the part of them giving up so many turnovers, but still being able to score in the 70s.
Yes.
I don't think South Carolina from last year scores in the 70s if they turn the ball over 20 something times. And so Pow tweeted today that they gonna get the turnovers down. She said, don't worry, y'all, trust, we gonna get the turnovers down because they're shooting it 50% from the field or above 50% as a team. So if you give yourself, 10 more shots or something like that, you're getting close to 80 points a game, but you got to settle those turnovers down.
Right. And like I said, so that's just another, for the young team and for that to be the quote negative about them, and now, I mean, the turnovers are becoming a little bit of a persistent problem, but I do think that's something that they can absolutely clean up. And even Don said, no, I don't know the exact quote, but essentially this is the worst that they're going to be is right now. They're only going to get better. And I absolutely think that the turnovers, it's not a talent problem by any means like that. It's not like they don't have guards that can't stop turning the ball over or anything like that. So I'm not too worried about that really, going forward. I don't really see that as a problem right now. If it's something that continues into conference play and everything and that doesn't get cleaned up,
I'm still not concerned. I'm sorry. I remember I argued with this Twitter user. Her name was Sabrina, and I do kind of owe her an apology because we've been arguing about how big turnovers were for South Carolina when Destiny Henderson got back from injury. And it was a new team. Like, it's her first time like running the show. Like, give them some time. And then we kept averaging 15. So you were right in that regard, Sabrina. But like, then we won. So you saw
that name and just.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I got no pivot on that one. But yeah, so turnovers, like, we've always kind of figured out a way to work around it. Like, yes, do your best to get them down, but I don't. 80 points with 20 turnovers, I'm not super worried.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as long as
this should be a road win for South Carolina. Net rankings, whatever you got to do to put in the computer, road win versus neutral. Make it happen because the UConn fans I could hear them through the TV.
That's the loudest I've ever heard Mohegan Sun.
Yes, like I was like, dang, y'all like showed up and y'all were just like, nope, we hate him.
And Rebecca was like, look at the UConn fans. Surprisingly, they're going for Utah.
What do you mean surprisingly, Rebecca?
I don't know if that was supposed to be sarcasm, but it didn't sound like she didn't have like the sarcasm tone to it.
I mean, honestly and truly, if they're smart, they probably should go for South Carolina because if they lose or win to losing to a South Carolina that's beaten top 25 opponents by a large sum or a little bit looks better than losing to the one that lost to.
Factually, you are correct. Factually, you are correct.
I just said they're going to lose either way.
But if you go hate, you got hate.
But the hate, as someone who has gone through this with college football plenty, of like, oh, it would be a better win if this team wins. No. They can
gotta let the hate ride, right?
That's the key for Mohegan Sun, right? Like, it's not enough to cheer for your team. You need to hate the other team. Y'all need to pull up with hate in your heart.
Yeah.
And a downfall on your lips as you pray.
Yeah.
And just go from there. Because, like we've never, ever heard Mohegan Sun that loud.
I heard boos. I never heard
they were booing.
Yes.
It was like, when Pili made a 3, it was like,
yes.
Like, they were going nuts. Pow made a 3. They were like, like, it was loud in there, man. I was just like, wow. I mean,
I know, and I know the hate might be rooted in some things that are problematic. So
this is true. This is true.
It's a double-edged sword because I'm kind of with it off principle. Like, yeah, come in hating, but maybe not go full Liberty fan.
Okay, well, not
all the misfits. What else are we supposed to do?
I was trying to figure out how to get to that joke without like, we got
never ever go full Liberty fan.
So that was. Well, no, they pulled up. They pulled up. But you know who else is going to be pulling up this year? Indiana Fever fans. Because, ladies and gentlemen, back-to-back years, #1 overall picks. And let me tell you right now, nobody was more excited than the Indiana Fever draft party, where we want to break this down for you. Because, hold on, let me bring it back, because it's right at the beginning. First off, look at Lynn Dunn. Let's start with Lynn Dunn, the general manager for the Indiana Fever. Because she is happy as all hell that more than likely Caitlin Clark will be in Indiana Fever. But so let's look at Lynn Dunn first, right here in the blue sweatshirt.
Not standing.
Not standing. Right here. Just turns up. Lynn Dunn, come on the committee post-game show.
I thought Marvin Sapp hands.
She is turned up. You damn right.
Oh, shoot. Now, look at Lexi with the Aaliyah Boston shirt. Love the team, love.
Oh, I didn't even notice that
earlier.
Hold on. I didn't even notice that. Look at that. I'll tell you why I didn't notice that. Everyone, please direct your attention. Right in between the uprights done right here. There is a woman in this red sweatshirt. Everyone, let's just watch as a family.
Excited, man.
Let's watch as a family.
At number 2, and
oh no, the tumble.
It's hilarious because no one budges.
No,
literally.
Everyone like Clark was coming to the Indiana. That he did not care. Run it back.
Sorry, you.
honestly, I need that though. Like, just let me.
Just let me. Don't
If
dwell
I
on
die, I die. If I get up, then let's just act
And
like
she
it
just
didn't
kept right
happen.
back to it. Right
Yeah.
back to it. Shout out
That's
to
what
that
we gotta
woman.
do.
She just excited, man. She
Shout
finna get
out
front
to her.
row. She getting front row tickets.
Yes, I need her to be the first one. Like, never forget Kathy. She needs to be the one to hand the jersey to Caitlin when they draft her. That's what they need to do because she took on the team like full on, and
Yo,
that.
she didn't. So let me break down a couple of things with this. Right?
Let's do it. You tell me when to start and stop. Like, let's.
No, it's just after a certain age, falls could be deadly, bro. Like, you don't know about that yet, but after a certain age, like, you turn wrong and you might pull something, you might hurt. Like, that's my biggest fear right now. Like, just doing non-athletic things, and there goes my ACL for no reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she absorbs the fall, hops back up, right? No
And started
sustainable
clapping.
injuries. Got
Nope.
it. Now look at the
Yeah,
phone
she's
in
right
her
back
hand.
to it.
No, look at the clap. Look at the clap, right? She had her phone in her hand. She fell with the phone.
You're right. I didn't even catch that. Hold on.
I
Let's.
don't even look.
Did she
I
have
don't
the
think
phone?
She's young, man. She's
Oh yeah,
like,
that
gotta
phone is
protect-
that
gotta
phone is
protect
in
the
her left
phone.
hand.
Regardless of the fall, got to protect the phone so she can tweet about being a number one again.
Hello?
Later.
Let the hoes know to pull up too. Screens not scratched.
She's a millennial adjacent.
Oh man, what a fall.
I'm with it.
That's
I'm saying she braced her. She caught herself the right way. No sustainable injuries. She didn't do anything super dramatic like fall and like roll because that would have been really embarrassing.
didn't complain to the ref. You know?
It's a one up on W players already.
Didn't complain to the ref. She took the contact.
Most important.
This is
But shout out to Indiana for real.
yes, shout out to
Excited for
Indiana
them.
because they're man.
They building.
What a duo that's gonna be. Assuming Kate, I'm kind of just assuming. Like, I'm not even thinking like, oh, is she gonna go or not? Let's just assume that everyone's in. Like,
I
what a
think she
duo.
should want to go. I don't think that Indiana is in the same place they were last year.
Absolutely
not last
not.
year, but the year before, right? When it was the year before and Indiana got the number one pick, I think everyone was like, poor Leah, right? Like everybody was kind of just like, yikes, this is gonna be tough. But if she watched the season last year, I think you have to be like, I could see myself like I can see myself like to see Aaliyah do what she do last year, and then when Nalissa and Aaliyah started playing together and how that looked, and seeing them play against a team like New York and play New York tough, play Vegas tough, like they played Vegas really tough last.
And not only what they have, but what they don't have is what Caitlin can bring.
Exactly.
You know, like when you think about thinking about fit wise and everything, and like Indiana needs a point guard really bad, and a point guard that can spread the floor for Aaliyah, that can get the ball to Aaliyah, that can run the pick and roll with
Aaliyah.
like I mean, look, but like
that can be the next tandem. Like that could
absolutely no hyperbole. Like
the art trio that like Nalissa, Aaliyah, and Caitlin. That could essentially be the next big young gun trio in the W, right?
Yes, absolutely.
If I'm her, I'm thinking I might go. Like I'm going to the W because the money is not going to stop. And Indiana has a really nice fan base. I think their fan base was like consistent. Even when Indiana struggled, they were still consistent. They still showed up.
And the excitement that like that duo will bring, the fans are going to be there. Like that's, and I think also
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna have to get to Indiana.
No, literally, I was like, damn,
I'm trying to come.
I ain't never been to Indiana before. Let me see what I can make happen because I gotta be there.
8 hours from from Iowa to Indiana.
They'll take the trip, but there's a lot of other people that will too. Like Caitlin is somebody people want to watch, and I think she going to games. Indiana on the road is going to be something that people go see.
Oh yeah, it's going to be must see.
That. And they are 5 hours from Indiana or from Iowa to Chicago. So
there you go. Like also,
fan base can pull up.
Johnny, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously your daughter.
Yes.
We know what happens when she sees red.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What happens when she plays in it?
It wouldn't be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, maybe that would be like her. Did you ever watch Popeye? Like, he eats the
The
spinach.
spinach, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No,
yeah.
I don't know what you know because you.
No, of
hardly
course.
know the
Come on
things.
now. Yeah.
Anyway, so that maybe the red putting on a red jersey could be
Yeah.
like her.
She only plays she only cooks at like
if
home
she
games or whatever.
sees it all the
With the
time,
red.
she's gonna just turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly like it's. I mean, come on now. Like Caitlin and Aaliyah. Like first off, Iowa and South Carolina fans having to come together.
This is how I win.
But I don't got no beef. Like, honestly and truly, I ain't got no beef with Caitlin. Like, as a South Carolina fan, like most South Carolina fans have been rooting for Caitlin since she stepped foot into college. Like, most South Carolina fans were kind of leading the discussion out, like, before Iowa fans even started paying attention, to be honest.
I think her freshman year, right?
Yeah, because remember Don
freshman of the year and So, like, it's not going to be hard for me to root for a Caitlin and Aaliyah Boston, like, connection because I like Caitlin. I think Caitlin's fun. I just don't like Bluter, but Bluter is not Caitlin. And I will never put the things that Bluter say onto Caitlin.
And that's my thing. I think that after the national championship, she became the avatar for racism. And it's like, she didn't do anything. So, and it's not even like Sabrina didn't do this, but it's Sabrina Ionescu's problem. No, like Caitlin has been hooping the same way since freshman year. Like she's been doing the same thing since freshman year. It's just people were watching and turned it into something that it's not. But like she didn't do anything. She got in the presser and was like, "No, I'm cool." Like she was talking trash. We talk trash. It is what it is. We move.
And no other players really took issue with it either. Like between her and Haley, her and Angel, like it was always.
And most of them are cool. They've played like I think sometimes people forget a lot of these players played like USA basketball together.
Yeah.
Like Haley's played with Aaliyah before. She like these players are cool. They're cool with each other. It's gonna be fun. Someone pointed out, and I forgot about this, but someone also pointed out that Caitlin liked a tweet about Indiana getting the first pick. And her boyfriend works for the Pacers. I fact-checked it. I fact-checked it first. I had to Google it to make sure before I said anything. But he does, in fact, work for the Indiana Pacers.
Wow. Man, look at God.
And you never tell your kids to make a decision based on young love or whatever.
But you do tell them to make a decision on Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have your cake and kind of eat it too, then okay, we'll do this. You know that wasn't as a parent. That's not on my mind. Like we're getting to this money, and you playing with Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah,
Indiana's gonna have to make some moves though. I do think that
it's not that simple. Just drafted Caitlin and
they're gonna. And they have some nasty contracts that they're gonna have to figure out. Like if it's me, I'm trading away Eric Wheeler and Kelsey Mitchell. I think that the Kelsey Mitchell time has kind of come to an end to me. I think that she deserves a new place, a breath of fresh air. Like same way Tiffany Mitchell. Tiffany Mitchell went to Minnesota and things worked out for her there because it was just a fresh start. I think Kelsey Mitchell kind of needs that too. And I don't think Eric Wheeler's the point guard you need to
sign and trade to Phoenix.
Yeah, so
I feel like people got stuck in their ways. Like Indiana had been Indiana for so long after Ketch retired that people were used to doing their thing. They were used to being the top chef in the kitchen, and then you get this new girl who it's like you should be giving her the ball every time your arms work. People it looked to me, people had a problem now playing winning basketball and people wanted to be in that role still. So I'm thinking if you're rebuilding, I'm with you, go with the youth movement, because look at how Grace Berger was moving. Look at how
Grace played better than Eric Wheeler sometimes. Like there were moments last year where it's like she's a vet and she wasn't doing veteran things. Like she would jump up and down on the scores table at one point because she was mad they called a foul on her and she ended up getting a tech, right? Like, and it was like, why would you do that? Like, what are you thinking? So for me, I think if they could somehow sell a championship pedigree guard to come to Indiana,
the nasty rumor.
Hear that
rumor.
With
you have anyone in mind?
the nasty rumor.
Um,
We've been spreading.
I
The
would
homecoming.
love Skylar Diggins.
The
to
homecoming.
give Indiana,
There we go.
give
For
Indiana,
months.
you know.
There we go.
It's looking kind of nice, but that $200K Erica Wheeler
It's the sign and
contract
trade.
is making it really tough.
It'd have to
So I don't know, but I think she can shake some things up for them, and they can make some things shake. You get
be. Absolutely.
Caitlin's been playing off ball a lot for Iowa this season, which I think is really good for her because coming into the W, I don't think you want her to just come out at the point guard spot and be in control of the entire offense. And so if you compare her with like a Skylar Diggins and Caitlin's at the 2, and then you have Nalissa at the 4, Aaliyah at the 5, I don't even care who you plug in at the 3, but that's a
playoff team.
That's a really good lineup,
That's
you
a
know?
playoff team.
Like
that's
a really good lineup. So if they can get Skylar, I'm calling Skylar up now. I'm like, hey, we got number one pick.
Right. You're damn right.
Listen.
The first call I'm making right now is to Phoenix because we had heard the.
Well, she's not with Phoenix no more. She's just a free agent.
Oh, what? Then sign it. Then I would think sign and trade like with a Wheeler or Kelsey Mitchell if they want to try and get value back would be in my head the most thing. But so I mean, Caitlin. Because I think the conversation had been, at least within our group, we had released our tweet today with some of our big boards, kind of just like our general, like not by fit, but just general big boards. It was Brink and Caitlin were the 2. But with Indiana, there's no, you take the guard.
It's because you have people to mask her deficiencies. And I've
100%.
been very vocal about what my child doesn't do, and that's play defense. So it's like, if you need to build a team from scratch around a player, I'm taking Cameron Brink because she plays incredibly well on both sides of the ball, and you can get pieces to fit around that. But if you already have pieces that do things on both sides and you just need this incredibly high level offensive player and you can focus in on that and kind of hide her, I'm taking Caitlin.
100%. And I think Grace is a good guard, especially at the beginning. I don't know if it's the long-term guard, but that's a good guard to have next to her as well. Yeah. And it just makes so much sense. There's no whether who might be the better player in the long run. The pick, it seems straightforward to me. But I do want to dive into the rest of the lottery as we kind of wrap up. Because our fan vote, in the same poll where we put our big board, it went Caitlin, Brink, Paige, Rakia was the top 4 that they had voted. We had write-ins for Pili and Camilla as well for being the top of the top. For me, I
like the order.
I was about to say that order makes sense, even with the fit right now of everybody.
Yeah, I would put Cameron in LA. I think LA is literally starting from scratch. We don't really know what LA is going to bring back outside of De'Erica, Stevens, and I think that's honestly it. Nneka's a free agent. Shanae's a free agent. Jordan Canada's a free agent. Carly Samuelson's a free agent. Katie Lou's a free. All of them are free. And Lexi is also on contract. But outside of that, they're able
to craft this however they want. And that's why I don't think it's I think Brink is what you just said, Shawnee. When
someone said Nneka's staying, and honestly, this is my hottest of hottest takes. I would let Nneka go. I personally think that LA needs to move forward from that hold of the prior championship team. And we've heard about the hold that Nneka has on the locker room and the decision making. I think it's time to move past that. I think Nneka is another player that could just go to another team and start fresh. And kind of, if she wants to end her career at LA, she can come back for a final year or something. But I do think Nneka has more years under her belt. And so if I'm LA, I'm starting with Stevens is a great piece. Lexi is amazing. I think if you can get Jordan Canada back, you bring Jordan Canada back and you get Cameron and you see what you can do from there. But I think it's time to move past because Nneka's also tied to Shanae, and I just don't think it's worth keep continually bringing Shanae back, and half of the time she's not even available to play. but you're paying her a vet minimum or more than that, and she's not even available for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I think like I if they went that route, it'd make complete sense to me. Like, and just kind of start over. Like, you got Cameron Brink. Let's make Cameron Brink your centerpiece here. But even if they bring back NECA, I don't think there's any question that Brink is the pick. Like, you can like that can still function, for X amount of years, how much longer NECA wants to stick
like
around.
Even if you have like NECA and Stevens starting and you have De'Erica and Brink coming off the bench, that's still fun. Like, that is a really solid post rotation.
Yeah. So so like, regardless, I think I don't see a world where they take a Paige or Rakia over Brink in this sense. Like, I really do like, Shawnee, to what you said earlier. Like, if you're building a team from scratch, like you are, and this is the first player on your roster and you're taking from this draft, I'm taking Brink. So, and I think that's kind of where LA is closer towards than they are having a solidified team.
Yeah.
And so kind of moving over from that, Phoenix gets their UConn. They get the next UConn guard.
If she comes out.
Yeah. Which.
Because I get, like, part of this is all marketing. So that's why I'm kind of like, Caitlin to Indiana makes sense. You got that little Midwest connection. You get the fan base out of there, meet up in Chicago like we do in LA or in Atlanta, take over. And then you have, Caitlin Brink, aside from the skill set, like, her in LA.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. It works.
Like, already in California now. Like,
Kawhi is there. You got that New Balance connection.
It just makes sense.
Yeah,
it absolutely does.
So then, like, Paige in Phoenix, from a marketing standpoint, as we try and hurry up and get Diana Taurasi up out of there.
This was good. I don't know how you were gonna say it, but I knew that was coming.
Skill wise, is that the best fit?
I think so. They need a point guard. I like what Shug did this season. Don't get me wrong, but I think they need, like, Paige is a starting caliber point guard in the W, and they need
has been for 3 years. Remember?
Yeah. So it's like, as long without the concern of health, I think you get Paige. Like, it's hard. Like, cerebral, good point guards are hard to come by in the W. Like, there are a lot of teams that are lacking that right now. And that's like the one thing they need to become even better. And so when there's one on the table, you grab it.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, and Phoenix is another one of those teams, like, we'll see if they pull off a sign and trade, like with Skylar or anything like that. But I mean, if BG's sticking around, like they're going to have some type of guard. Because I mean, DT is at some point will be retiring. So I think that makes perfect sense to me. Like, if Caitlin and Brink both aren't there, like, I see the vision with that, both from, the basketball side and also the marketing side of, like, oh my God, it's DT reincarnated, even though it's not not that.
And they have a guard that can shoot, right? Like, you have Sophie. I am not the biggest fan of Sophie the person, but Sophie the player,
the basketball player. And honestly, I like that fit next to Paige. Like that.
And, like, she's a scorer. She can score. You got BG in the paint. I like what I saw from Michaela last year for them. Like, Michaela was coming on really strong. I really do think of solid point guard and someone who can replace DT when DT's sitting out because she's hurt with her back or her big toe or something. At some point next season, she's going to have a big toe issue and somebody's going to have to step in. So that's their real problem. Like, who steps in for DT?
Look, whatever keeps her out of Paris, I will call the airport and report something in her bag, bro. Like, look, check it. I don't care if there's anything in it. Like, just keep her out of Paris. Like, we need youth. And to your point, like, yeah, it's time. It is time. Look, Alexis Morris had a point, man.
Not the wire hangers.
Not
the wire hangers.
So sorry. It's time. Somebody in the comments said,
"Let's take a pay cut." Like, I'm okay with people sticking around, but, like, take a pay cut. Like, don't get super max and that's partially on the ownership too, because you should know better than to do that. But
that's the one thing I actually respect about DT more than anything in this whole situation.
If I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna get paid. If you're gonna give me this money, I'm gonna take this money.
Yeah.
So I put that
from a
here.
basketball sense, it makes no sense.
That's not my problem. Yeah.
But from a individual, like, get your money. Get your money. I did see.
It's like there's two sides of it though, because like I respect that in the hustle of getting your money, but then also when I look at a team, like everyone in the W knows there's a hard cap, right? And you know that if you're going to win in the W, you got to put the best team together, and sometimes that means that you're going to have to take a pay cut. When I look at Vegas roster, that is a roster of selfless individuals who have all taken a pay cut to make sure that they stay together, continue to grow together, and now they have 2 back-to-back championships and can possibly get a third next season because all of them are coming back. So, like, you know, like, it's like, get your money, but if you get your money, you kind of taken away from maybe getting another solid piece on your team, knowing that you kind of been in and out of the rotation every season. Yeah. Or, you know, maybe take less.
So that's the thing. Like, you're taking that money, but why are you here? Are you, you trying to win? No? Then okay.
If you're trying to get paid, then hey, I'm okay with that.
But, like, that's going to be part of your legacy. You tanked the franchise for the last 3 years, and we couldn't do anything because you just sitting there not helping.
On the Supermax. So
so we had a comment, Paige in Minneapolis or New York. First and foremost, New York will never work. There can only be one Great White Hope. So 2 would absolutely collapse the balance that they've built there.
I would love Paige in Minnesota. Like Minnesota,
that would be perfect. It's on top of the homecoming. Like
Paige is
dropping
a 7.
Sense. Yeah,
unless Minnesota trades
they
up,
have to trade.
And I'm trying to think who's on their roster that they could possibly, because I don't know if they have any picks that I'd take.
One of those beige individuals.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
I feel like it'd have to probably be future picks, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Like for the year after, like the next year or two, you know, or like, I mean, if that's their person.
If you maybe, like, I don't know what the hold they have on a player like Dorka or Jessica Shepard, but I think a Dorka or Jessica Shepard next to Brittany Griner could work. And so maybe if you could like package some future picks and give them maybe Dorka, Jessica Shepard, who else is on that team? Those are the 2 that come to mind at the moment. They might be willing to trade that 3rd pick. But you are going to have to give them somebody from the current team because they need bodies. So
for sure.
You got to give them something.
Yeah.
But I would like Paige in Minnesota. I think it's perfect.
It makes it like that when you talk about like the on and off the court, the homecoming on top of just like the basketball fit. That's probably like if I was like to drop Paige into a spot, it would probably be Minnesota. Like that.
I went to AP is a free agent, whoever asks, but I went to that Final Four game in Minnesota, and those people were there for Paige, not for UConn, for Paige. Like, it wasn't like, let me tell you about UConn. No, it was, I'm here for Paige.
As they should. I respect that.
Little braids.
Yes.
They were like that in Texas when I was boots on the ground in Texas. There was little braids right here, all over.
Anybody else from UConn scored, it was like all right. But when Paige scored, that whole stadium went great. Like everybody was there for Paige.
Yeah. Last one, we'll just hit the lottery tonight. Like I said, we'll have I think some articles and stuff coming out with the entire draft. We'll have more coverage on the entire draft. But just to finish up the lottery tonight, with that being Seattle at number 4, there's Rakia.
That's a tough one.
There's Camilla. You know, there's a couple there that, like, obviously you have Ezzy there, but I wouldn't hate having Ezzy and Camilla. I wouldn't hate.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, so there's a couple options. Like the other ones, like the first 3, it feels pretty plug in. Like this one here, this makes sense. Right. This makes sense. Mm-hmm. Seattle there's a little bit of flexibility there about what direction they could take it.
Would that be
the only reason why I don't think they'll get Camilla, because they have her name Mercedes Russell, and she played well last year but she was coming off of injury last year because she had that back injury and she was coming off of that. And so I think that with her, there's no rush to get like a big, because she was solid in the minutes that she played. It was just simply she's coming off injury and like that's a tough position to play. So like it wouldn't hurt to get Camilla, because if you have 2 6'6", 6'7" post players, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I think they need more elsewhere. So
Does Seattle have the assets to trade up?
They have Jewel Lloyd.
Okay, that's enough.
I think they can trade back.
I think they have some
trade back.
They have some stuff that they could
Yeah, because I'm thinking like Paige being the heir to Sue Bird, like
Minnesota.
You and the Great White Hopes trying to put them into place.
All I'm saying is there's been an established pattern.
There has been. We're looking
So
for all
I'm
the
just saying,
reincarnated,
yeah.
Like,
Like honestly, Jewel and Paige, Jewel, Paige, and Izzy.
Or what if, this is what my mind was thinking earlier,
Ooh.
we don't know if Kalani's coming back next year, right?
Mhm,
Like that's not a guarantee. Kalani was kind of on TikTok, like, where y'all want to see me go? Like, I'm like, you know, like
I'd be
her
more
cousin.
surprised
Listen,
I'd be more surprised if she's in Dallas next season.
exactly.
than
Like,
anything else.
honestly, people should tell their families as well to stay off of Twitter, because her cousin was like liking stuff that's like, she's out of there, she's done, so happy the season's over. Like, she's like, she ready to
I
go.
told my cousin at the Pentagon, keep your mouth shut.
Get your circle off of Twitter.
Literally.
Yes.
So
Keep it in the close friends, please.
seeing that in my head, I'm like, okay, Kalani's not coming back, but the two big system work for them. So Dallas has the number 9 pick and they have the number 5 pick. Dallas rarely uses all of their picks anyways. So what if they trade with Seattle to get the 4th pick? Like, package that 5 and 9 and give them the 4th, and say, and maybe like a player or something like that. And, you know, like maybe Dallas sneaks up and get.
I wouldn't hate Dallas getting like.
Oh, I would. I would veto.
I mean, I would hate it because I, as a South Carolina fan, it was very refreshing to not have to root for them.
Because I don't know what Diamond looks like right now. So even if they went and got Rakia, or
Diamond's a free agent.
Oh, well then, like, so then I've like the 3 is the space of need for them, where Rakia could fill that in more.
See,
so than needing a big.
I don't know that they would do that, because it's Greg Bibb we're talking about, and every time they get draft picks, he's just like,
you still
and then
hurt.
you have like Lou sitting out there waiting. The player from Iowa State,
Suarez.
Sitting out there waiting. Like, Dallas literally might just trade their picks. I don't want them to be honest. But
take them. They don't need them.
Yeah,
just take them back.
He's their property.
Give them to San Francisco, man.
Thank you. Just move.
But maybe Washington tries to trade up. I don't know, man. Seattle, like, I wouldn't mind Seattle snatching like a Georgia Amore or
like trading back and doing that.
Yeah, because like their point guard situation, they have some players from overseas that run the point for them, but who knows if they're coming back.
I like that actually. I like that idea of getting like an Amore, a Charisma, a guard like that in like the 7 to 8 range, like 7, 8, 9 ish.
That's like my vision for Seattle. Trade back and get yourself a point guard, and then also go get a veteran point guard in the offseason so you can start building that new point guard for your future. Like, they've been trying to find a point guard to replace Sue for, you know, even before Sue left, they've been trying to find somebody that could learn under her, you know? So I think they really need to focus on that. Yeah.
I mean, so what between, let's say, like I said, let's look at our fan vote, right? We have Camilla, Rakia, and Pili were the names that were brought in. Between those 3, let's say Seattle stays. Between those 3, who do we want Seattle to take? I think I'm going Rakia.
Because I don't trust anybody to Camilla's going to be a bit of a project. Yeah, so you want somebody that's like ready now. Pili, she has her deficiencies being just 6'2", and then you're gonna need her because what are we doing with Jordan Horston? She was doing that for
Horston's a tweener at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And right now she was playing the 4. So
Yeah.
even the idea of okay, if they do get Camilla, now you're able to at least shift everybody up a little bit. Or if Mercedes Russell does come back, you can shift, and whether it's Ezzy playing the 4 or 5 or whatever. Regardless, Jordan isn't playing the 4 anymore. Whatever.
But then you gotta depend on somebody being there to help Camilla get adapted and get and Ezzy's cool. But I don't think I wouldn't trust her with that vet role yet. She can help.
I agree.
Definitely has a lot of experience having played overseas and in the W, so she could definitely help. But it's still just you want somebody there that can be the elder statesman.
Personally, for me, I want Camilla to land in Minnesota.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah,
I just think.
Yeah,
that'd be tough. Her next to
under
with the
Brunson and Cheryl, I think Camilla would turn into.
Oh, that'd be nasty.
Yeah,
we're talking. That I completely see the vision.
So that's my fingers crosses for that. I know most people want to see their faves go top 4, top 3, top 5. I'm drop the 7, please. Just end up
and in the W, it's more about fit than anything because it don't matter if you top 4 if you're gonna get cut because it don't work.
But now that I think about it, Rakia, you got Ezzy protecting the paint, so she could kind of do her thing on the wing. Jordan was holding her own, and then you don't have to rely on her too much because, offensively, because that's Jules.
Yeah,
and she can take her.
And Jules get some help offensively too.
Exactly, but it's not that much pressure.
You draft Rakia and you go get a veteran point guard just in free agency, something just something cheap and short, relatively short term.
When we take Dallas's picks. We divvy him up. Maybe if you're nice,
Kathy should just take Dallas picks for real. They're hoarding picks at this point.
Yes, put it in her blazer.
Yeah,
not in the blazer, please.
I'm tired.
Get away.
Yeah, because on the one hand, I do. If you're going to the Dallas Wings, you're about to do something big. You just got to get through this first contract, right?
You just
to graduate.
Survive
Dallas Wings University.
Yeah, that degree holds weight in the W, and you go on and it just you get a better position, man.
This is a Dallas player. They've been through a lot. They know what it takes to keep playing, even through the darkest times. They're not fazed by anything. They're used to it. So.
Yeah. But at the same point in time, it's just golly, we got to watch this for minimum 2 years until you can get to that land of milk and honey. But
not the. All right. Well, listen, y'all. Today was stacked across the board. It was a very, very fun day in women's basketball. We will be.
Hold on, just real quick. Around the league, Ohio State beat Penn State in overtime. NC State got the win over Liberty. Virginia Tech over Radford. The battle of the state. Louisville beat Kentucky. Iowa beat Wisconsin. Red game. Told y'all about it. Know my child. LSU.
It was scary for a second there. It was weird.
It was a dogfight that first quarter with Louisiana. Pulled out a 20-point victory. Marquette got a nice win today. Washington beat Washington State 60-55. That's a big one because
Washington should probably be top 25 now. They're undefeated, and Washington State was in, so they'll probably be top 25.
Miami
that's a good win.
Miami too. Yeah, Miami's a good shout. Yeah. Miami's looking solid.
So yes, just around the league. Wanted to make note of that. Sorry, Tyler. Go ahead and take us out.
No, you're good. Like I said, it was a stacked day. We'll be back. We'll be on Spaces on Tuesday. And then the games get kind of weird leading up to Christmas and everything. So we'll probably have 2 or 3 post-game shows probably before Christmas. So make sure you're tapped in on Twitter to see that, our articles, our spaces, all our social posts. Everything you need to know about the committee is on our Twitter at the committee SG. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit the bell. So when we do go live, you don't ever miss it. And this was by far our longest post-game show. So thank y'all for sticking around with us for this entire time. So make sure you go follow.
And
Twitter.
Yes, shout out to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Sorry, y'all.
Yes. Because they beat Arkansas. Yeah, that was a good win.
Yes, they did.
Shout
out to Jay Green.
Yes, shout out. Was on our draft board, which you can go see on our Twitter. Wink, wink. Go check out the
visit our
article.
website directly.
There's everything there. There's merch.
Like this shirt.
Look at that. Look at that shirt. That's a beautiful shirt. I wish I do own that one actually. But you should too. So go check it out. And we will see y'all next time. Bye everyone.